In Greek mythology, the gods called Prometheus a criminal, a thief, a traitor, a rebel who dared to challenge Zeus himself. But if Prometheus was guilty, then his crime was giving humanity the one thing the gods wanted to keep for themselves: fire. Not just flame, knowledge, progress, survival, civilization. So the question is not whether Prometheus broke the law of Olympus. He did. The real question is much darker. Was Prometheus punished because he betrayed the gods, or because he loved humanity more than they did? This is the Prometheus case. Before he became the most famous prisoner in Greek mythology, Prometheus was not a weak man begging for mercy. He was a titan, older than many of the Olympian gods, a being from the generation before Zeus fully claimed the sky. His name is often connected with forethought, the ability to see ahead, to think before acting, and that is what makes his story so dangerous. Prometheus was not punished because he made one foolish mistake. He was punished because he knew exactly what he was doing. In many versions of the myth, humanity was fragile, small, hungry, cold, living under the shadow of gods who could crush them without effort. The gods had power, immortality, ambrosia, thunder, divine weapons, but humans had almost nothing. They could suffer, they could die, they could worship. And that was useful to Olympus. A weak humanity was an obedient humanity. Then Prometheus stepped between the gods and mankind, not with an army, not with thunder, but with intelligence. One of the first great conflicts came during a sacrifice. Prometheus prepared two portions for Zeus. One pile looked ugly, but contained good meat hidden inside. The other pile looked beautiful, covered in shining fat, but inside were only bones. Zeus chose the beautiful offering, and humanity kept the meat. On the surface, it was a trick, but underneath, it was something more. Prometheus had exposed a weakness in the gods: their pride, their hunger for appearances, their belief that anything wrapped in beauty must belong to them. Zeus did not forgive this, because kings do not hate being tricked nearly as much as they hate being embarrassed. And Zeus, king of the gods, had been embarrassed in front of mortals. So he answered like a god who had been insulted. He took fire away from humanity. Imagine that punishment. No warmth in the cold. No cooked food. No metalwork. No protection against the dark. No spark of progress. Zeus did not simply punish Prometheus. He punished mankind. He made humanity pay for one titan's defiance. And this is where the case turns. Because Prometheus could have stepped back. He could have watched mankind suffer. He could have told himself that mortals were not worth the anger of Zeus. But he did not. Prometheus climbed into the realm of the gods and stole fire. Some stories say he hid it in a fennel stalk, a small ordinary thing carrying a divine secret. That image matters, because this was not a war, it was a theft. A quiet act of rebellion, one stolen flame carried down from heaven. And with it, humanity changed forever. Fire meant warmth, fire meant food, fire meant tools, weapons, craft, cities, stories told in the dark. A future that no longer depended entirely on divine permission. To humans, Prometheus became a benefactor, a savior, the one who brought them the power to survive. But to Zeus, this was unforgivable. Because Prometheus had not only stolen fire, he had stolen control. And gods do not fear human weakness, they fear human independence. So Zeus created a punishment that would become one of the most brutal in all mythology. Prometheus was chained to a rock, far from comfort, far from rescue. Exposed to the sky he had dared to challenge. Every day, an eagle came. Every day, it tore into him. Every day, it devoured his liver. And because Prometheus was immortal, his body healed again, only for the torment to begin the next day. Not death. Worse, a punishment with no ending. Pain turned into routine. Suffering turned into law. And Zeus made sure the message was clear. This is what happens to anyone who gives mortals what the gods have denied them. But here is the strange part. Prometheus does not break. He does not crawl back. He does not become a warning in the way Zeus intended. Instead, he becomes something more dangerous. A symbol. Because a tyrant can punish a rebel. But if the rebel's suffering proves the tyrant's cruelty, then the punishment becomes evidence. That is the heart of the Prometheus case. Zeus wanted the world to see justice, but the world saw torture. He wanted Prometheus to look guilty, but the longer Prometheus suffered, the more his crime looked like mercy. And this is why the myth still feels uncomfortable. Because Prometheus is not innocent. He lies, he steals, he manipulates, he defies the ruler of Olympus. But mythology is rarely about clean innocence. It is about power. And what people do when power becomes cruel. Prometheus broke divine law, but Zeus used divine law to keep humanity helpless. So which one was worse? The thief who stole fire, or the king who believed mankind should freeze without it? Later, in some versions, Prometheus is eventually freed. Heracles, the great hero, kills the eagle and releases him from the rock. But even that ending does not erase what happened. Prometheus had already paid for humanity's fire with centuries of agony. Every flame carried a cost. Every hearth, every forge, every torch in the dark. All of it came from a crime the gods never wanted forgiven. And maybe that is why Prometheus remains one of mythology's most complicated figures. He is not a perfect hero. He is not a simple victim. He is not just a rebel. He is the dangerous figure every powerful system fears. Someone inside the world of power who chooses the powerless instead. Someone who knows the rules and decides the rules are wrong. To Olympus, Prometheus was a traitor. To humanity, he was the first savior. But perhaps the darkest truth is this. Zeus did not punish Prometheus because fire was dangerous. He punished him because hope was. Because once humanity learned that the gods could be disobeyed, they would never see Olympus the same way again. So was Prometheus a criminal? Yes. Was he a rebel? Absolutely. But was he a villain? That depends on who is telling the story. The gods said he stole from heaven. Humanity says he gave us the world. And in the end, maybe Prometheus was not punished for stealing fire. Maybe he was punished for proving that the gods were not the only ones allowed to shape the future.